Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm Othman Kourd, so I'm an Android engineer at Trainline. And today I will be talking about Stubbing with WireMock. But before starting the talk, I want to share with you some quality KPIs from our testing system. So we have around 25,000 unit tests on our Android code base. We have also 138 unit tests, and our code coverage is 75%. So we don't really care about quality, and that's what motivates us to build a reliable testing system, and we used WireMock to help us doing that. It's not working. Good. So today I will be covering why we need a mock server. So I will share with you some benefits of using a mock server with your tests. Then I will give you an introduction to WireMock and its features. And then we will see together a demo to discover more what is WireMock and how to use it. And finally, I will share with you how we used WireMock to build our Stubbing solution. Okay, so here I will share with you some benefits of using a mock server. It's not working. I need to. Yes. Finally. So the first benefit is reliability. Yeah, so there are many things that can cause your test to fail, and one of these things is the reliability of your real web server. If your test is targeting a real web server, you have no guarantee that you will get a response every time you call the server. Imagine, for example, if your backend team is deploying a new version, or if simply something went wrong and the server is not reachable anymore, so your test will fail in this case. That's why it's very recommended to use a Stubbing server rather than using your real server. It's okay. Second benefit is determinism. It can be, for example, if you call an endpoint, if you are targeting your real server and you call an endpoint, this call can change the data of something in your database. And you have no guarantee that you will have exactly the same response every time you call this endpoint. A simple example could be if you are testing your account balance. So you have no guarantee that you will get exactly the same response every time you run the test. But if you use a mock server, you know exactly what you will get. So because it's just a static Stubbing file that your mock server will return. Another benefit is to avoid rate limits and server costs. There are some third-party APIs that require a valid API key to get a valid response, or maybe this API is available just in certain time in a day, or maybe it's free just for a limited number of requests. So to avoid all these constraints, it's recommended to use a mock server. Another benefit could be to test all the corner cases and the error scenarios. We all know that it's a bit hard to cover all the error scenarios when you are targeting a real server. So to do this, you can just use a mock server. Another advantage is speed. So obviously, when you are targeting a mock server, it will be faster than targeting your real one. So now you already ask this question maybe, why mock in the HTTP server? Why we can just, for example, mock our our network layer using Mockito or another tool and construct our domain objects and give it back to our tests, and that's it. So actually that was our approach before using mock server. So as you can see here, we have our UI tests, we have our network layer. So what we did, we introduced a layer of mock data. So we used Mockito to mock our domain objects. And in this case, as you can see, our network layer wasn't tested, which is very bad. Here's some pros and cons of this approach. So as you can see, this approach can be best choice if you have a small network layer. If your application is doing just 1 or 2 requests, so you can go ahead and use this approach. Another advantage is speed, because in this case you will gain the time that will be consumed by your network layer. But there are also some disadvantages, because your network layer will not be tested in this case, which is bad. You have no guarantee that your app will behave exactly the same when targeting a real server. And it will be hard to maintain, because imagine if you did changes to your network layer, so you will need to go ahead and change your mock data as well. After introducing mock server, so we used WireMock to build our mock server, and in this case, so we have WireMock running as a standalone service. It's a remote server, and it will replace our real server. And in this case, as you can see, we don't need to introduce any mock data, and our network layer will be tested as well, which is good. So here's some pros and cons of this approach. So as I said, using this approach, you will be testing your network layer as well, which is good. You have the guarantee that your app will behave exactly the same, because it's exactly the same real conditions. And it was easy to maintain, because as you said, as you saw before, the mock server is separated from our test. So if we need to do any change to our network layer, we don't need to go and change anything on the mock server. It was easy to simulate scenarios in this case, because if you want, for example, to test how your app will behave if you have an HTTP error, all what you need to do is to create a stub for this error and give it to your mock server, and you can do the test. And one advantage also of this approach is it can be shared, because as you saw in our solution, WireMock is running on a remote server. So this server can be shared between all your front-end apps, and this is very good. There are also some disadvantages. The first one is data expiration. So we had some JSON files with some data that can be expired, and especially dates. And we will see how we did to fix this very soon. Another disadvantage is that those stubs can be expired as well, because if, for example, the server contract changes, so we need to go ahead and update all our JSON file to fit this new contract. So now let's go ahead and see an introduction to WireMock. So actually, WireMock is an open source tool created by Tom Ackerst in 2011. There is a GitHub repository, so you can go ahead and take a look and contribute. Why did we choose WireMock? So there are many benefits of WireMock that make it a best choice for us. The first one is that WireMock, as I said, it can be run on JVM, for example, on your device, or as a standalone service as well. It can run as a proxy. It can record and play back the mapping. So this is a very strong point about WireMock. So you can run it as a proxy, and it can also record all the traffic going between your client and your server. Another advantage is that WireMock can be extended, so we can extend it to support more features and more things that we want to add to our Stubbing server. And also it has an active developers community, so if you have any question or any issue, so you can go ahead and ask for help. So now how to run WireMock? So there are many options to run it. The first one, we can use command lines. So all what you need to do is to download the WireMock standalone jar, and you can run it using Java command like this. There are also many options if you want to, for example, to specify a port. So you can use option port. The default one is 8080. You can also specify an HTTPS port. And if you want to run WireMock as a proxy, so you need to provide this option, proxy all. If you want to use WireMock in your JUnit code, so there is a JUnit rule for that. And if you want to use it inside your Java code, so you can create a WireMock server. You can give many options that you want, and you will have access to all the WireMock features. Okay, so here, as you can see, you can run WireMock as a proxy. So here, if you add the option proxy all and then the URL that you want to proxy, so here WireMock will behave exactly like the man in the middle between your client and your server. So every request that comes from your client, WireMock will forward it to the real server, and when it gets a response, it will be proxy directly to your client. You can also add the option to record the mappings. So as I said, WireMock will act like a proxy and will record also all the traffic going between your client and your real server. And you can also run WireMock in playback mode. So once you have recorded your files, you can run WireMock as a standalone service. And in this case, WireMock will not go and ask the real server, but it will deliver a response from the recorded files and mappings. This is an example of mapping file. So it's really straightforward structure. There are two parts. The first one is the request. So here we have the HTTP method. So it can be get, post, or whatever the method you want. And you have the path. So it's the URL that WireMock will match with the second part, which is the response. So here we have the HTTP status, we have the body, and we have the headers as well. So now if we want to create other mappings, so WireMock provides us three options to create mappings. The first one is to use JSONs. So as I said before, so once you run WireMock in record mode, you will have already some JSON files, so you can change it, you can duplicate it to fit your own scenarios. Second option is to use Java or Kotlin code to create more mappings. And the third option is to use the WireMock REST API to create more mapping. And this is what we will see soon in the demo. So I will share with you some examples how we can create more mappings using WireMock REST API. So in this demo, I will use the version 2.24 for WireMock, and I will be targeting the OMDb API. So this is an API to get some informations of movies. Okay, so let's see the result of running WireMock as a proxy and with the option to record mappings. So here, as you can see, I have already downloaded the jar file. So I will go ahead and launch the command. So here we will have already created two files and mappings. And if we go ahead and ask for localhost 8080, so this is the first page of the API. So all the traffic is forwarded to the OMDb API. If we go ahead and ask for information about a movie, so as you can see, WireMock already recorded all the stubbing and mappings there. So let's go ahead and ask for another one. As you can see, so we have all the traffic recorded. And now if we go ahead and run WireMock just in a playback mode. So now we have already some recorded file. So let's disable our Wi-Fi to be sure. And if we ask for the same movie as we asked before, so we will get the recorded file from our cache. And this is a very strong point about WireMock. So you can record all the traffic that you want to test. Okay, so the first example that we will see is a simple mapping to have a simple text. So we will use the flag body in this case. So it will be just a small HTML. And the path will be hello. So let's see. So before that, let's ask for hello. As you can see, so WireMock will complain because there is no mapping matching hello. So let's go ahead and add this mapping. And now if go ahead and ask, so we will get the HTML file that we added. Another example, we can also stab some JSON file. So to do this, you can use the flag JSON body in the mapping file. So let's go ahead and see what it will record. And if we ask for shopping list, yes, so this is the JSON file that we give on our mapping file. Another example, so we can also provide some binary data. So here we can use the flag base64 body to provide 64 code for some binary data. So here I will add a code for an image. And if we go ahead and ask for binary, so we will get a nice logo. We can also simulate some HTTP errors. And to do this, you can use the flag fault, and you can provide the error code that you want to add. So let's see the result. And if we go ahead and ask for this stab, we will get the error that we just added. So to be sure, let's go ahead and check if it's exactly the same error that we provided in the JSON file. So yes, it's the same error. You can also simulate a response delay in your mapping. So you can use the flag fixed delay in milliseconds. So here we will simulate a delay of 3 seconds. Let's go ahead and see the results. And here, if we ask for delayed, so 1, 2, 3. So it's exactly 3 seconds. So you can use this feature to simulate latency on your, on your backend. Okay, so now I will share with you how we used WireMock to build our shared Stubbing server. This is an overview of our solution. So we have, as you can see, we have 3 parts. The first one is our continuous integration. The second part is a remote server running WireMock as a standalone service. And the third part is a GitHub repository that will host all the JSON and mapping file created by all developers. So developers will push their files into this repository, and it will be shared between all the team. So how it works? So when our CI reaches the step to run our espresso tests, so it will run those espresso tests against the WireMock server. And in the beginning of every test, so our Stubbing server will pull the latest version of JSON files and mappings from the GitHub repository, and it will run the tests. And the advantage of this is that our Stubbing server is independent from our client, so it can be shared between all our front-end apps. Okay, so what we gained using WireMock? Actually, during the implementation of our solution, we faced many issues, and we used WireMock to overcome all these issues. So I will share with you some of this. The first one was related to dynamic data. In our JSON files, we had some data that can be expired beyond a certain date. For example, here, as you can see, in this JSON file, we have the information expiration date, and this date is not valid anymore. So our test will certainly fail because it was expecting a valid date. So what we did to fix this? We used the WireMock handlebar template. So WireMock provides us a great way to specify dates using a handlebar template. So as you can see, we changed the static value of the expiration date with a handlebar expression. So when our test asked for this JSON file, WireMock will render dynamically the value of the expiration date, and we will have always a valid expiration date. Another issue is how to simulate multiple scenarios. So, for example, here we wanted to have 2 possible scenarios for the same URL, my tickets. The first scenario, we wanted to simulate a successful response, and the second one, we wanted to simulate an error response, but for the same URL. So what we did to fix this, we used WireMock header matchers, and we changed our mapping file to be able to have 2 possible scenarios. So the first one, as you can see, if the header X scenario equal to success, so WireMock will go ahead and return the JSON file success. And if the same header equals error, WireMock will go ahead and return error. Okay, so what we covered during this presentation, so we covered some benefits of using a mock server. We covered also how to use WireMock, how to run it as standalone service, and how to add more features. Yes, so we covered also how to manipulate the WireMock mappings and how to use the WireMock REST API to add more mappings, and how we built as well our Stubbing solution and how we did to overcome all the issues that we have. I really recommend you to download the WireMock and do some work with it. It's really a cool tool that really can help you during your tests. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks for the talk. Do we have any questions? Let's start from there.
When you started using WireMock, did you have to modify anything on your JUnit test or whatever unit test you're using to integrate with it, or was it just sort of plug and play from that side to mirror it?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
When you started using WireMock, did you have to modify much on your like espresso test side to integrate, or was it pretty easy to get up and running with it?
Yeah, so as I said, because we run WireMock as a separate mocking server, so our espresso tests were independent from our Stubbing solution. So we didn't really did any changes on our espresso tests.
And then one more question. As far as like actually getting up and using WireMock, how long was that process from when you guys started looking at it to when you actually were using it and for testing?
So as I said, the previous approach was that we were using a mock data layer to simulate our domain objects. So the time that we spent is more to remove all this mock data and then just plug our espresso test to the WireMock server. So actually, the only change that you need to do is to change the route path, rather than targeting your real server, targeting the mock server. That was the only change.
Thank you for the talk, very interesting. You said that you are using headers to separate, to choose if the scenario basically is successful or not. How do you change from the actual espresso activity or fragment which header to send like the scenario?
Yeah.
How
Yeah, we added the header to our mappings, but actually the test should select which header to inject to be able to say to WireMock, yeah, I want a successful scenario or error scenario. So what we did, we created some HTTP interceptors for tests, and every test had to inject the right header to tell to WireMock, this is what I want.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks.
I just want to ask that, have you tried running this with Firebase, the Firebase Labs?
We didn't really try this to run WireMock with on Firebase Labs.
Yeah, the Firebase Labs test series.
No, we didn't try it.
Just, running it on your local emulators.
Yeah, it was running on our local servers, but we didn't try running it on Firebase Labs.
It works. You have to run it on the local JVM, but it works.
So for those who didn't hear, it works. Do we have any more questions? Yeah, one over there.
Is there other benefit of running WireMock as a proxy other than recording? Just to all other things or register?
Actually, we didn't found relevant benefit of running as proxy, but as a recording, yes, that it was very the powerful
so
thing.
You just only do that when you want to take your JSON.
Yeah.
Thanks for the CI process, like when you're running UI tests as part of the CI process, have you used the WireMock in those processes, or is it just for the local running?
You mean inside our CI process?
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a part of our CI because our espresso test will run as it ran before, but the only change will be the URL that our espresso test will target. So rather than targeting a real server, we changed the path to target our WireMock server.
So, like for example, you were running the dev builds, like the dev level of the application. So whenever you are running the CI process, which is creating the APKs for the dev builds, so it has its dev URLs in the main Gradle file, right? So,
yeah.
Do you change these URLs on runtime, or is it like a hard-coded thing on the bottom space?
Yeah, it was hard-coded. It was hard-coded.
Okay, because we have the same thing with the WireMock. It's like hard-coded, but
okay.
We're finding solutions to make it a runtime change so that you can run it on any flavors without hard-coding that URL.
Okay.
So have you found something?
No, we didn't experiment this option actually.
Okay, thanks.
I think we have someone in the back.
Yeah, in your team, so who ends up like maintaining the WireMock, the mocking files? Is it the backend team or is it the Android developer team? Or the QA team? Marketing team, I don't know.
So to be honest, so that was a spike initiated by our Android team. So for the moment, yes, it's the Android team for the moment.
I knew it. Okay, and maybe second question. So, does WireMock also help you? Let's say you want to develop something that new and the API doesn't exist yet, and you want to just develop a feature and the API doesn't exist. And you want to mock some API call, and the other ones you don't want to mock. So you want to use the real server.
Okay, so we didn't actually need it to extend for the moment any other features, but personally I did some WireMock extensions. So WireMock provides us some helpers that we can extend and we can add more functionalities. So for example, if you want to add another response transformer, so you can extend a WireMock class, and you will have access to the request, to the response, and to the parameters, and you can play with it and do whatever you want.
Okay, cool. That sounds interesting.
One question is, when you run WireMock test, do you have to mock anything else in the app, or can you actually take the original code?
What do you mean by other things?
I don't know, any layer of any login, any other components. Do you mock anything else, or you just?
It really depends on how your app is implemented. If you have, for example, any initialization or any configuration file, so I think you will already been doing this on your espresso test right now. So if you want to target WireMock, so I don't think you will go ahead and change this because it's already a part of your espresso test. So all what you need to do is all the things related to the server. If you have any path that targeting your real server, you will need to go ahead and change it to target your WireMock server.
So if, let's say, if I wouldn't have Mockito library at all, if I wouldn't inject something else like a fake code, could I actually run a full test only by using this WireMock, and everything else would be like the original code?
It depends on the usage of Mockito. If you are using Mockito to mock just the domain layer, for example, yes. In this case, yes.
Thanks. Last one.
Hi.
I have a question. What network library are you using for Android application?
Sorry?
What network library are you using for Android application?
For our Android app, we are using Retrofit.
And is it not easy to mock whole server response with fake user factors over the HTTP that the setup of
Yeah.
server?
Actually, that was our previous approach. So we mocked all the interceptors and all our domain objects, but it was hard to maintain, as I said. So if we change anything on our network layer, so we need to go ahead and change all these mocked objects as well. And we looked also to have a shared solution. So we wanted to have a really separate mocked server and our app in the other side.